You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
Good morning. Welcome to Matt and Air on Air. Jane Matt and Air, Greg Bach, Calvin Butenoff, coming to you live from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text or leave a voice note at 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter Thursdays. So it's a busy show.
Oh, yeah.
Jim Santel, our friend and colleague and host of Amicus, a law review Saturdays across the network from 9 to 11, is going to join us after the 9:30 news. I don't even know where to start.
I heard there was no news coming from the world of law. What's his Amicus, which is on Saturdays, 9 to 11 here in Civic Media. It's just going to be recipes.
Yeah.
And he's going to talk about his favorite pastries and pretzel bites.
And oh, yes, he'll
He
talk
discovered
about
pretzel bites. So nothing's going on. It's freewheeling, easy sailing, Jane. Nothing's happening, right?
No.
Oh.
We're probably going to talk, among many other things, with Jim Santel, who was a former U.S. attorney and is still an acting lawyer.
A U.S. attorney, by the way, I just want to say this too. Under 5 presidents.
5 different presidents.
5 different presidents. I think that's important to say just to show that this is a man who upheld the Constitution regardless of who is in power. I think now is as good a time as ever to instill that information.
Yeah, good reminder there. We will talk, among other things, about apparently the USA's new habit of blowing boats out of the water. And then we're sending 2 people back.
Yeah.
We didn't kill them.
No.
We're not bringing them back here to face charges, but we're just going to let them go home, apparently.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about a whistleblower from the Defense Department, or from the Department of Justice, rather, and the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
Yes.
Remember him? This is the man who the Trump administration maintained was a member of MS-13, and therefore that justified his deportation. And this insider at the Justice Department refused to sign off and was fired for it.
Yes.
So those are just among the few things that we're going to cover with Jim Santel. There's not nearly enough time.
And if we could possibly get to it, the fact that now the president wants $230 million from us. From us. For his convenience, for his felonies.
Yeah. So Jim Santel joining us after 9:30. Next hour, we're going to talk about the Milwaukee Public Museum. Lots of things going on. Of course, they're in the midst of moving to their new facility, but they're still in the old building. They're doing something special for Halloween for Streets of Old Milwaukee, and they're also celebrating Native Peoples Month.
Native American Heritage Month.
So we're gonna talk about that with Madeline Anderson and James Flores from the Milwaukee Public Museum. Also next hour, all things sports with the Acme Packing Company's Paul Noonan. And we'll wrap up the show with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. This is a good one. It's the Tossing and Turning edition. I encourage you to stick around for that. By the way, thank you to the listener who sent in a suggestion for Tisbet.
Yeah.
We're going to use it tomorrow.
Okay.
It's a good one.
And Jane, say someone's like, I just saw a story that would be perfect for Tisbet, or a story that would be perfect for Matt and Aaron, or a guest, something. How do I get in touch with them?
It is so easy. Send it to Jane Says, JANESAYS, Jane Says at civicmedia.us. That's where you can send, like Greg said, if you have a suggestion for a guest, something going on in your community that you think needs to be highlighted, or suggestions for This Shouldn't Be a Thing, all that stuff. Send it in to Jane Says at civicmedia.us. And then complaints go to Calvin, just Calvin at zipwire.com.
/ complaint department. Jane
/ Angel Fire.
There it is.
Yeah,
my gosh, be transparent.
I'm sorry. We're trying to be completely open and honest. We want to start off, though, with a discussion that happened yesterday in Madison. Medical marijuana still being kicked around here in Wisconsin. This from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Laura Schulte has the byline. Wisconsin medical marijuana bill draws impassioned support, but still faces numerous obstacles. Dozens of people were in Madison yesterday testifying in support of legalizing medical marijuana, sharing some personal stories about it. Lawmakers debated whether provisions in a bill before the Senate Committee on Health are strict enough in order to get GOP support in both the Assembly and the Senate. This article says they've been wary of legalizing cannabis. I would say there's been a pretty firm no on legalizing cannabis in any form.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not that tough. It really isn't. As we've stated before, folks, Iowa has medical marijuana.
Iowa.
Minnesota, Michigan, and Illinois have both medical and recreational. Iowa has medical marijuana. We are literally an island.
We are.
And second of all, if we wanted to legalize it, we could just legalize it. All these other states have done it. It's not as tough as they're making it sound. There's not as much head scratching and harumphing and chin wagging that needs to happen. No, you can do this. There is plenty of examples out there to show a simple way of legalizing medical marijuana in Wisconsin.
Well, right. Couldn't we just go to other states and ask them how they implemented this and what safeguards they put in so it doesn't, so it runs correctly? You would think we could talk to other states about
I'll bet you if we didn't even talk to other states, there are lobbying firms and consultants and experts who could go in. I mean, I know that lawmakers in Madison, especially the GOP, love to go to certain organizations and have them just write bills for them.
They do.
We could just go to a legalization lobbying firm and say, hey, we want to make a comprehensive, balanced marijuana legalization bill that has these provisions. Can you write that up for us? We'll go over the aspects, debate it in committee, put it up for a vote, and we'll go from there. But no, they make it seem like we're trying to solve, is 1 + 1 actually 2? We have questions. This is ridiculous because in the meantime, my friends and family, not me, and I'm serious because I don't do it. I just don't. I'm not good at it. But my friends and family are taking their money directly to other states and spending it in, and then those states are enjoying the taxes we pay on it because we're not getting bupkis from it.
I will say that I have gone to some dispensaries in Illinois merely for research purposes.
Scientific research, folks.
Of course. And it's
for
full,
a friend.
It's full of Wisconsin plates. It's full of Wisconsin plates.
You drive to the Pleasant Prairie Outlet Mall. You drive 7 seconds further south. It's like 5 dispensary billboards saying, come on in, guys.
Come.
We got you.
We're right here.
We got you.
We're right on the other side of the border.
We are missing out on just medical marijuana, so much tax revenue, and they're making it seem like this is the most difficult thing. And what'll happen, Jane, if we do this? Everyone will get addicted.
Well, and it's not just about the tax money. It is about giving relief to people who are fighting cancer and other illnesses. There were people who testified about this saying, why isn't this done? And we'll include this story in the show notes if you want to read the story. But I think it's important to read about some of the testimony that they heard. Nora Lowe is 17 years old. She lives in Merrimack. She has Rett syndrome, which requires her to speak via text-to-voice technology. So she testified yesterday, 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
I have many friends with Rett syndrome. They have access to medical cannabis. My friends who have medical cannabis actually sleep through the night and see extensive relief from painful muscle spasms. Why can't I get relief for mine? She also said, it's weird that every lawmaker I meet with, Democrat or Republican, they all agree that people like me deserve access to medical cannabis. Yet we are still in the same place we were when I was 10 years old. She's 17 now.
And you want to just talk about one group of people? I mean, like you can, for the elderly or for those who have cancer, for this young lady who just, thank you. You're not listening, I'm sure right now, but thank you for speaking up to our lawmakers. That's the way we tell them what we're thinking. We make our voices heard. But also just the vets out there who utilize some form, whether it's microdosing, whether it's marijuana.
For PTSD.
For PTSD, for all the things they go through that affect them specifically for what they have done for our country. That is an important part of not their good time fun. It's part of their medical and healing journey. It's important, and they shouldn't have to drive to Michigan, to Minnesota, or Illinois to get access to this. And I know there are people out there who have very staunch opinions saying, I don't think this is the right move. And I understand that. Usually when I hear that from people, it's based on a personal instance.
Someone in their family maybe fought addiction.
Which I understand.
Me too.
Completely. But that, for me, then I say we do not make alcohol legal. And there are many people who have addiction in their life from alcohol. I'm not discounting their journey. I'm not discounting their pain and suffering, but we can't use these small individual experiences to completely blot out everybody else. On top of the fact that one of the reasons why this isn't getting done is because every time the GOP wants to put forth a bill, they want to make it so difficult to access that it's almost pointless. It's going to die in it'll pass the assembly. It won't even be brought up in the Senate. But the last time they tried to do this, they said something to the effect that they wanted 5 state-run buildings throughout the state that would dispense, and you had to be like 3 or 4 ailments were the only things
ones
allowed.
Right.
Now it came back around, and we talked about last time, IBS is now on there.
Right, because apparently some Republican lawmaker must be suffering from
It
that.
might be a Democrat. IBS knows no party.
Yeah, that's true. Senator Patrick Testin, who is a Republican from Stevens Point, said at the hearing, it is time to allow medical marijuana in Wisconsin. He shared a story about how his family went outside state law to provide marijuana to his grandfather after he was diagnosed with cancer that metastasized to bone cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Senator Testin said it gave him his appetite back. It gave him time he probably otherwise would not have had. This story is not unique to my family. We've heard this from countless families, which is why I think it's time for us to enact a sensible marijuana medical cannabis program here in the state.
And this is one of those topics. Medical marijuana access, or just marijuana access, gun safety measures, abortion, all of these things that are in the state and in the country it is always 65, 70, 75% agree that this should be accessible. We should be enforcing these safety measures. We should be doing these things. They qualify as no-brainers, but yet we have politicians who, instead of listening to the people, and they are as Senator Kapenga said, they are the voice of the people. He said in an interview, if the people are saying do this, then you must reflect the voice of the people. Make it, just do it. It's not this tough.
Well, but as you just pointed out a whole bunch of things that the public seems to agree on by a pretty large margin, and yet they're like, nope.
Yes.
We don't care. Again, it's Robin Voss's money.
You are not.
It's Robin's money, and we're just lucky if we get to maybe see it.
And PJ on the live stream says, and this is not just Robin Voss, but if our representatives are not being the true voice of the people, it is time to find better representatives and vote them in. myvote.wi.gov.
That's right. Which is going to come in handy for our next segment.
Really?
Lying liars and the lies they tell. You may want to make some calls after that. Stay close. You are listening to Matt and Air on Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Good morning and welcome back to Matt and Air on Air. Jane Matt and Air, Greg Bach, Dr. Slide on the board, coming to you from our home at Radio Park in Racine. Join us, call or text. The number is the same at 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream. Good morning, live stream. On Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Coming up after the 9:30 news, Jim Santel will be here, host of Amicus, a law review Saturday mornings across the network from 9 to 11. Great show. Check it out. It's fabulous. He's going to join us to talk all things legal. There's a lot going on.
Oh, yeah.
But we wanted to just spend a little time on this as the complete destruction now of the East Wing of the White House is underway.
Yes.
pretty much. This is not what the President of the United States originally said when he was talking about his big blob of a billionaire ballroom. Calvin, let's play that clip from the President of the United States talking about the ballroom, please.
It'll be built over on the east side, and it will be beautiful. It'll be views of the Washington Monument. It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of. It's my favorite. It's my favorite place. I love it.
It's my favorite building. I really love the building. Yeah, it's gone. That was a lie.
Yeah,
they're tearing it down. They're completely tearing down the east wing of the White House.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, according to the New York Times, initially said the ballroom would not dismantle parts of the White House. His officials now say it's cheaper to simply demolish the East Wing. Speaking of cost, it was originally $200 million. That's now up to $300 million. Of course, he's going to pay. He and his rich buddies are going to pay for it since they're going to be the only ones who get to go in it.
Yeah. And there are rich people who are a part of this.
Yes, the Winklevoss twins, they're big donors. Adelson family, they're big donors. Peter Thiel's company, Palantir, they're big donors. CNN posted a list of all the donors to the big billionaire ballroom. If you've seen pictures of this destruction of the White House, it's horrifying.
Yeah.
It's really horrifying. You would have thought that they would have at least have taken out some of the pieces of the building before they started destroying it.
No.
You save some of these architectural features.
This is historic.
These are historic buildings.
Yeah.
These are our buildings.
Yep. Yeah.
They're the people's buildings.
The East Wing of the House primary, I'm just reading this off of, because people hear about the West Wing all the time, but they don't know what the East Wing really does. It's office space for the First Lady. She's in Florida and or New York, and her staff. Public and visitors entrance, a venue for social and official functions. I guess a venue not big enough for the president and his love of gold. It also housed the White House Family Theater, and importantly, located atop a secure underground emergency operations center. The East Wing is currently being demolished.
Yeah, completely demolished.
But Jane, the president said some time ago that nothing would be touched. He loves the White House. He loves
his
that
favorite
The
view.
East Wing, from what I understand, is his favorite part of the building.
Here's what Donald Trump said yesterday. Again, he originally said, we're not touching the East Wing. It'll be adjacent. It'll be close. But I love that building. We'll save it. Calvin, let's play clip number 2, please, on the big billionaire ballroom.
Your response to people who say that you haven't been transparent enough about this,
I haven't been transparent.
that some of your critics feel it should have gone through a
I've shown this to everybody that would listen. Third-rate reporters didn't see it because they didn't look. You're a third-rate reporter, always have been. So third-rate reporters didn't look, but anybody that asked, these pictures have been in newspapers. They've been all over the place, and we're very proud of it. It's gotten great reviews. It's gotten really great reviews.
Who's giving? That's enough. Who's giving reviews?
Yeah.
Where is he getting reviews from?
People. Some people who've given him money. Some people are giving reviews. All the people love it. We love the reviews. It's like Amazon. It's like a 5-star review on Amazon. He's a liar, and he has destroyed the White House. And this will not. What stops him from saying, I don't like any of this? We're starting over from the
Nothing.
top.
And the biggest part is that there is not one Republican lawmaker who will stand up and say anything about this.
Except maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Well, yes,
Yeah,
her.
very
which-
weird.
That's a whole nother discussion. But Joe Walsh has a big column about this as far as all of the boys and girls in the Republican Party. No one will come out and say that this is wrong. That's really dangerous.
Because they're cowards.
Yes,
and also,
they're cowards.
Just in case you're listening and you don't like us, don't throw 1940s reconstruction on me. Do not talk about the renovation of the White House from the Truman years, because that was to ensure its safety, because it was standing
It was
on...
structurally unsound.
It was structurally unsound. It had steel backing, and that was to get the security and just make it sure it wasn't going to fall on top of people. That's different. This is a madman king who wants a ballroom made of gold so he can have parties and be worshipped. And these Republican lawmakers who are saying nothing are complicit and cowards.
Might be a good day to give him a call.
You should totally do that.
myvote.wi.gov. myvote.wi.gov. Go there, plug in your address. All of your elected officials' phone numbers will come up. All their contact information. Let's call our Republican House members. We know they're off.
Yeah, they're doing nothing
They're
right now.
doing nothing right now.
Well, they're having press conferences,
Oh,
too.
that's right. They are doing
They're too
that.
busy lowering healthcare costs.
Let's call Brian Stile and Scott Fitzgerald and Derek Van Orden, and let them know how happy we are that they're just letting Donald Trump destroy the White House.
Be careful when you tell Derek Van Orden anything. He may yell at you. He likes to yell at people.
Oh, by the way, Sue from Franklin says, well, since the East Wing houses the First Lady's offices, they don't really need it anymore since she's not there.
Kaboom!
That's true. News is next. Stay with us. This is Matt Nair on air on the Civic Media Radio Network. Stay with us. Good morning. Welcome back to Matt Nair on air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, the Board Lord, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. Call or text at 855-752-4842. You can leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Next hour at this time, Acme Packing Company's Paul Noonan will be joining us to talk all things sports. We will talk about the Packers, talk about the Bucks, and all things sports. That's coming up next hour at this time. We are waiting to be joined by our friend and colleague Jim Santel, host of Amicus, a law review Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 across the network. He is still a working attorney.
He is.
So he's in court right now. Should just be wrapping up, but he will be joining us in just a moment or two. Did want to start off talking about this, though, and I think, like so many things, this just didn't get a lot of attention. CBS 60 Minutes, still on Sundays.
Still on, still reporting.
So far.
God. Honestly, I got this little spark of hope when I'm thinking about what 60 Minutes alone has gone through this year, losing their longtime producer because he wouldn't capitulate to the whims of Donald Trump and Paramount. Actually.
Paramount is the one that did it.
But the fact that 60 Minutes is still providing quality and real journalism after so many decades in the face of all this good stuff.
But on the Sunday 60 Minutes that I know I didn't see, and I don't think, unfortunately, a lot of folks saw, but they have an article also that we'll include in the show notes that's worth taking a look at by Scott Pelley. Erez Ruveni was an attorney in the Department of Justice who did so well during the first Trump term on immigration policies that he got promoted right away when Trump took office for the second time. He was 15 years in the Justice Department. 15 years in the Justice Department, which ended suddenly after he says he saw government lawyers lying in court and essentially ignoring the orders of a judge. Here is a clip we have from 60 Minutes Sunday night. This is Erez Ruveni talking to Scott Pelley on 60 Minutes. Calvin, play that clip, please.
Bovee emphasized those planes need to take off no matter what. We may have to consider telling that court, you.
This is going back to the planes full of alleged MS-13 members. Emil Bovee, who has been confirmed and is part of the Trump administration.
Yeah.
He essentially said, I don't care what the judges say. Those planes are taking off no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're taking off.
Yep. They, I don't know. I'm sure the conversations have happened behind closed doors. It's never got out to the press, but when you hear people say things like that, we have to tell a judge that. We have to spit in the face of our
legal system,
parts of our checks and balances on the power of a man who thinks he is the end-all be-all authoritarian leader. That is telling. And unfortunately, that little moment got reported and then swallowed up because every day is a fire hose.
Exactly.
And it only goes harder and harder. And it's impossible. For us, we are people who get paid to look at the news and talk about it. For folks who are just trying to live a life, I can understand why you may have never heard this.
Oh, absolutely. There is so much going on. And again, we're still living our lives and paying bills and grocery shopping and cooking and all, taking care of our elderly parents and our younger children. Mm-hmm. And the other thing in this article and in this interview that happened on 60 Minutes on Sunday, he also says that he was told to lie about Kilmar Abrego Garcia. This, again, goes back a few months. You may have forgotten about this. Yeah. This is a man that the Trump administration said it had to deport because he was a member of MS-13. He was a gang member. They had no proof of that.
Well, Jay, they had a doctored photo.
Right, a doctored, which that's a whole other thing, too. He was told to lie and say that Kilmar Abrego Garcia was a member of MS-13, even though there is no evidence that that is true. And he said, I just couldn't do that. I could not do it.
And on top of that, Kilmar Abrego Garcia had a protective order from a judge before all this saying he could not be deported back to it because he was going, again, he was going through the process. A lot of people come to this country on illegal matters, whether it's running on a visa, coming here illegally, and then they want to go through the process. They want to do it right. And they're doing everything they've been told for the past 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Just do it right. That's what they're doing. And they're still getting snatched up. They're still going to immigration court and having their appointments canceled and then being arrested. This is not the worst of the worst. These are just individuals trying to, once again, live their lives like you are. You were blessed to be born in this country. They were not, maybe, but they're doing exactly what you asked them to do. And Kilmar Abrego Garcia was not part of a gang. There was no evidence. A judge said he could not be deported, and they still did it anyways.
Erez Ruveni, here's what he said. Here's the important thing here. Whether Mr. Garcia is or isn't a member of MS-13 is beside the point. What matters is that they did everything they did to him in violation of his due process rights. What is to stop them if they decide they don't like you anymore?
What have we been saying?
They can say, you're a criminal. Mm-hmm. You're a member of MS-13. You're a terrorist. What's to stop them from sending in some attorney at the direction of the Justice Department to delay or, if necessary, to lie about it? And now it's you, and your due process is gone.
We've been saying this for months now.
Yes.
For over a year. You may love him. You may worship at him. You may have all the hats and T-shirts, the flags. You give him money. You go to the rallies. You do all the things you need to do. But one day it may come down to the fact that you are not good enough. You're
not Trump enough.
And we are joined wonderfully by a former U.S. attorney and host of Amicus, a law review, 9 to 11 Saturday here at Civic Media, Mr. James Santel. And I want to open up with a question because, James, you said the magic words, due process. We heard earlier this year Stephen Miller say we can do away with due process on a case-by-case matter. But what we have found out, Jim, if you could clarify and tell me if I'm right or wrong, due process isn't a case by case. It's a binary. It either exists or doesn't exist. And when it exists, it's for all. When it's not, we all don't get it.
It's exactly right. And you know who said that, Greg and Jane? A guy named James Madison and others at the founding of our nation. It's a part of our Constitution. It is a right, frankly, not just of citizens, but of residents as well. That's why the discussion that you're having about immigrants, including Abrego Garcia, appearances in court, all these things, it applies across the board. You undermine or you eliminate due process, and we no longer have a basic foundational tenet of our nation. And to your very good and appropriate exposition of the problem here, what the two of you, Jane and Greg, are discussing right now, this is the constitutional crisis that we have been in. I've dated since March. We're talking about, again, Abrego Garcia's appearances in front of a judge named Paula Zinnes, who has been beyond frustrated with the failures of the government to provide her with accurate information. But it goes back even before then. There was this judge named James Boasberg in the District of Columbia. He was the one who first dealt with these 238 people transported to El Salvador without due process. And this has continued ever since then. And now, to put a very fine point on another horrific aspect of what our Department of Justice is doing here and in other situations. We appear in court, and by we, I don't mean me, I don't mean you, I mean representatives of the people of the United States, and they will do one of 3 or 4 things. They will simply say, I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared to go ahead. I don't know what I'm doing, which is the least problematic. Frankly, it's horrific, but least problematic. They will simply say things that are not true. That is in violation, again, of an oath of office that undermines the system. And again, we've seen that they will make things up. There's a case involving the Dominican children in which the Department of Justice had to go back in and say, yeah, turns out that the parents did not, fact, want them back. We just made that up.
Oopsie.
That is beyond a constitutional crisis. That is violation of everything we know to be good and right. You don't have to be a lawyer or a judge to appreciate the horror of these kinds of activities.
Well, and that leads, Jim, that leads us directly into we're blowing boats out of the water with no evidence that these people are drug dealers.
It's a gut instinct. It's inherent.
Right.
It's an inherent feeling.
Yeah, Mike Johnson knows everything in his gut. So we blew another boat up last week. Not everyone was killed. So rather than bring the 2 survivors back to the U.S. to face charges and testify, we're letting them go back home. How?
Oh, sorry, Jim, you're going to have to talk. Jane
I'm glitching.
Jane is rebooting right now. She's buffering.
And Greg, I hate to say, I'm equally apoplectic, if that's the appropriate word to describe our response.
What'd you just call me?
Right. And because so many problems with this, including, again, due process, even getting there, of course, it raises all kinds of issues about what this president is doing. We've got, I see there's a representative of Congress. Finally, he's from one of the Republicans who has said, his name is Todd Young, as late as just yesterday, indicating that indeed he has constitutional problems with his decision by the president to bomb boats. I think we're up to number 8 now. We're in 2 oceans. And again, who declares war? Let's all say it together. That's the Congress, right? Mm-hmm. That's in the Constitution. The president has certain limited powers, but not under these circumstances. This is not law enforcement that we would identify. Again, there are interdiction capacities of some law enforcement agencies, but they don't bomb boats. They don't kill people on the high seas. And so the confusion, once again, of law enforcement and military action makes this not just wrong, it's illegal, it's unconstitutional. And one of the concerns is, okay, we repatriate, and so these people don't even have the forum in which to discuss this, right?
Right.
And so we send them back, and again, even the courts, which would otherwise recoil in horror at this, don't have that capacity to do this. It is just another example of this president engaging in conduct for which there's no legal authority.
We're talking to Jim Santel, who is the host of Amicus, a law review, which you can listen to 9 to 11 every Saturday on the Civic Media Radio Network. It's a wonderful show talking about all the news coming out of law. It's a masterclass. It's law school on Saturday morning. It's amazing. You should listen to it. Get it in your life. The thing I wanted to say really quick, Jim, before we go and got some snacks, is also the fact, I just want to make clear that people understand, the president can declare war for a moment in time. Then he has to get approval from Congress. Congress can approve war. Right. President can declare war, but then he has to go back to Congress and say, may I do this? Or can you stop me? I say that simply because we get smacked all the time on this show for saying one thing and not explaining everything. So they're like, well, you don't understand. We understand. But what he's doing right now, and the overarching for me is the kids, the people going to immigration court, these are not the people they promised to get rid of. These are not the worst of the worst, the criminals of the criminals. These are innocent people who just made a mistake and are trying to do right, or their children, or fishing. So this is not what people voted for.
And this isn't normal.
No.
We're going to continue our conversation with Jim Santel, host of Amicus, a law review. Stay with us. You're listening to Matt Nair on Air on the vast statewide, countrywide. You can pick us up around the globe if you have the app on the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
Good morning and welcome back to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, Calvin Nader on the board. Coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. Join us, call or text at 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Jim Santel, host of Amicus, a law review Saturdays across the network from 9 to 11, is our guest. We were talking right before the break about us blowing fishing boats out of the water, and that doesn't seem legal. But Carmela from Milwaukee is on the line with a question. Good morning, Carmela. Thanks for joining us. What do you want to ask?
Good morning, Carmela.
Good morning, Jim, again. The other day I called into Maggie's show and when Jim was on, and I was asking about the international, I don't know what the term is, but Maggie pointed out that there's a dispute part and then there's the, I guess, war crimes part. Why can't somebody internationally indict Trump on this? I'm not understanding that part of it.
Appreciate it, Carmela. Thank you.
Right. Carmela, as you know, and again, your question is right on target. There is an international criminal court that we have seen in other areas. We know that a fellow named Putin right now has an outstanding arrest warrant. If you engage in these kinds of things, yes, indeed, there's a criminal court out there that can, in fact, investigate and has found that chiefs of state have been in violation of international law. We do not recognize that court. It becomes a much more complicated as a result of that. But Carmela, underlying your very good question, these fundamental things that Greg and Jane have been saying, number one, all of these things, how have we traditionally dealt with these kinds of things? It's the Coast Guard, sometimes the Navy, that interdicts suspected drug smuggling boats. We don't blow them out of the water, right, Carmela? We don't do these kinds of things. And if in fact there is a war type event, all right, there's a thing called the War Powers Resolution, a Vietnam War era thing, right, Jane? And the notion is the president's got very limited capacity to engage in wartime activity. As Greg and you just said, you've got to go back to the Congress in 60 days and explain what you're doing. This has been going on since September 2nd, by my count. And again, I know the president's doing this again because of Venezuela and the political and Mr. Maduro there and his animosity with the government there. This is not a basis for this, as Jane just reaffirmed in the simple and straightforward and completely accurate way. This is unconstitutional.
Yes.
It is contrary to law. It is illegal. And again, the question is, how does it get enforced? Well, Americans like you, Carmela, need to be articulate. You are articulate, but be forceful in demanding that our government do better.
But now
this is all right.
But the Supreme Court essentially gave him free reign to do whatever he wants during his tenure as president. He cannot be held accountable for anything. Thank you, Supreme Court.
Right. That's the larger issue, Jane, in ways big, small, and in between. If this somehow were to reach the Supreme Court, they would find a way to describe this somehow as a war that we're at with Venezuela or others, or even drug cartel leaders, and permit this and subvert and construe in ways that no common sense person would construe the law to say that this is a wartime activity. It is not. And yet, you're right. The Supreme Court in all these ways has given this great authority. That began on July 1 of 2024. It continues to this day. That's, again, that also the constitutional crisis, and it goes on then to the authoritarian government seizing upon that and doing whatever you want to do.
By the way, I just want to share some quotes from the President of the United States about these boats that were blowing out of the water. Quote, "We call them the water drugs, the drugs that come in through water. They're not coming. There are no boats anymore. Frankly, there are no fishing boats. There are no boats out there, period. If you want to know the truth, we're saying, does anybody go fishing anymore? The fact is, we knocked out, probably saved at least 100,000 American lives by taking out all these boats coming in. The water drugs problem apparently has been solved."
And J.D. Vance even cracked a joke, too, said, like, well, I wouldn't go fishing out in that area. Well, guess what? Some of those people who are fishing for their lives. And it's
it's their livelihood.
And it's not funny. And you know what? Well, the president doesn't need the court to do I mean, they're continually doing it. All he needs now, and he has, are the leaders in the GOP and the mainstream media, and I'm including all of them, to either justify or fully back up on a consistent basis, saying, oh, what he's doing is great, over and over. And then people either say, yeah, or they tune out. So you have this constant barrage of dis and misinformation coming from all sides that you can't do anything about, to the point where it almost feels like it's better to tune out, which you shouldn't, but we understand.
I understand the temptation, trust me.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And the bottom line, my friends, of course, is that you're killing people, and you're probably killing people who have not done anything wrong. And this is not a matter of policy or decisions about how we go about enforcing this. This is a violation, as Carmel indicated, of international law, domestic law, and the president has no authority to do this. People are dying because of what he is doing. Commercial entities are being undermined. Our relationship with Venezuela, obviously hugely compromised.
Well, all of our allies now, former allies.
Yeah.
Yes.
It just doesn't. There's the justification. Like, I didn't feel unsafe with these boats in the water. That's how they always made it feel before they did something huge. There was a big bad who was going to do something that was going to undermine.
The caravans are coming.
A country or us. But all of a sudden I hear we're bombing boats. Why? Because water drugs. What are those? Doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. It's just absolute to once again distract us away from taxes going to billionaires,
Epstein,
and the Epstein files.
Jim Santel is host
There you
of
go.
Amicus, a law review. Check it out Saturday mornings, 9 to 11 across the network. Thank you so very much, Jim. We'll see you next week.
Always a pleasure to be with you, my friends. Take care.
Stay with us. News coming up next. You're listening to Matt Nair on Air on the Civic Media Radio Network.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.